There you guys are. All right. Jack, are you on the script?
Yes.
Okay. It says your little picture is like grayed out. There you go. Are those those are joining. Does it? I guess it announces
Sorry,
their
guys. I
location.
have to take a phone call really quick.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for showing up. We appreciate it.
Definitely. Is there an echo now? Sounded like Jack was echoing a bit. There we go. All right. Webinar. What do we got? Oh, I see Austin, Texas. That's where my parents are from there. Nice city.
Pakistan. Wow, that's a ways.
That's a ways from Loomis, let me tell you. Hawaii, I see, that's cool. I feel like they get that a lot. If you live in Hawaii and you tell someone you live in Hawaii, everyone's like, whoa, Hawaii.
The Caribbean, Seattle, Bay Area. Okay, all right.
Okay. Trinidad. I watch
near,
YouTube Trinidad.
We're from near Sacramento, so that is cool.
Pretty local.
Fresno. Okay, yeah, I have some family in Fresno. Wow, we're really coming in from all over the world, guys. That's great.
Mexico, that's cool. That's cool.
139 of you guys.
There's a good amount of District of Columbia. That's cool. Oh, I see Vacaville and Folsom. Pretty local.
Perfect. Nice.
All right, so it looks like I think Kevin's on the phone with our, I guess, speaker, I guess. Having some trouble.
Yeah, we're going to start in a couple minutes here, guys, and go through Youth Climate Action Coalition. We're super happy to have you aboard, and make sure you guys are following us on all of our social media. YCAC Youth on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and make sure you're visiting us at our website, ycacyouth.org. We appreciate you guys for being on, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, it seems like we have people from all across the country, so that's great to see.
Definitely great.
We know you guys are really busy, so we'll go ahead and get started and get into it. All right, so we are Youth Climate Action Coalition, or YCAC for short. A little bit about us. We're a group of high schoolers. We're going into senior year. We're from Northern California in a small town of about 6,000 people, so very small town. And our inspiration to take action on climate change stemmed from a couple years ago where we had devastating wildfires just north of where we live. And it basically killed over 100 people, devastated over 200,000 acres of land. And it greatly affected our community and neighboring communities. So that inspired us to take action and make sure nothing like that ever happens again. And so what we did was we started an environmental club in our freshman year of high school. And basically the goal of this club was to implement simple initiatives that would make our school and community more sustainable. Now, some examples include installing faucet aerators, which are little nodules that you place on faucets, and they saved over 10,000 gallons of water from being from being wasted a year. Another project was implementing a compost program, which reduced our food waste by over 2 tons a year and saved 5 tons of carbon emissions. So we did a lot of projects like that, and we realized that we can actually make an impact, and it works. So we wanted to expand our impacts, and through that, we created Youth Climate Action Coalition, which is a nonprofit that is youth-led, obviously, and it provides a platform for motivated individuals like yourself from across the country to take action on climate change by doing very similar projects and initiatives like we did in our own school and community. So that's kind of how we operate, and I'll move on. So a bit about YCAC. We are 100% student run. That picture on the top right is a group of students from our school. And some fun facts: we were the grand prize winner of the T-Mobile Changemakers competition back in February. And we are the 2-time winners of the Caring for the Watersheds competition, which is another national competition. And most recently, we won the General Motors environmental competition. So we've received over $16,000 in prize money throughout our time, and we've had a lot of success. Back in March, we organized a community event to educate the public about climate change. And for that event, we brought in a renowned climate activist. His name's YCAC, and he's worked with Al Gore. He's a great friend of Al Gore, and so that was a really great event. And yeah. So Jake, which is a co-founder, he's going to talk about our mission and our strategy when it comes to working with individuals like yourself.
Yeah, so as Kevin said, I don't think we introduced ourselves. My name's Jake McCullough. I'm going to be a senior. So our mission is to provide a platform that students can use to make their homes, schools, and communities more sustainable and more environmentally friendly. When it comes down to it, that's our overall goal, right? So our strategy to do this relies heavily on raising awareness. Now, that comes with like a big disclaimer, right? So we don't want to just raise awareness about climate change in general, right? Or just saving water. Because what we see too often is people saying like, hey, we should save water, or we should like stop wasting plastic, which is good. You know, obviously we should be doing that. But what we saw happen is people would just say that, and then like there wouldn't be a whole lot of action, right? There wouldn't be any steps to actually take on that goal and to achieve that goal. And so that's kind of where we got our name, is Youth Climate Action Coalition, right? We really want to focus on taking these action steps towards achieving these great ideas, because these are great ideas. You know, saving water, that's perfect. We all should do that. But we want to take action steps towards achieving that. So with that little disclaimer out of the way, so what does that look like, right? So our strategy, Jack, Kevin, and I, and the rest of the team at YCAC, like at this point, are raise awareness for our program and our organization in general. So once we did that, you know, we reached out to TikTok people. We saw Jessica, and we big thank you to her. We found some highly motivated and committed students such as yourselves. So yeah, once we find this big group of people from all over the nation, all over the globe, really, we can then move on to the second bit, which is sparking that action in the form of implementing sustainable initiatives. So to do that, we see our biggest help that we can give to you guys is to make things easier on people who are maybe needing some help getting started, or maybe you already have gotten started on your fight against climate change and you need some help with some new endeavors. Whatever the circumstance may be, we know that we can be in some assistance to youth fighting against climate change and creating a more sustainable environment. So we see your strategy, people watching today, we're really happy to see you guys here. Your strategy would be basically implementing as many projects as possible, whether that be at home, at school, or like we said, even as far as citywide, which is doable. This doesn't mean that we won't also be implementing projects like we said citywide. Fun fact about us, right now, we're working on a project with our city to create what's called a food scraps program, out to about 200 homes, and we're going to be doing a pilot program with them. So they're going to be collecting their biodegradable food waste, all of their organic matter, and putting in a separate pile away from their garbage, which is going to be taken to our material recovery facility out in a different city, and that's going to be turned to compost where it can't release methane as it decomposes incorrectly in landfills. So that's to show that these projects can get really large scale, but you have to start small scale. So to get more into specifics on these smaller scale projects, we want to talk about our Sustainable Youth Challenge that you might have been seeing on our social media and in your email. So I'll kick it over to Kevin here.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jake. That was a really good explanation of how we approach working with individuals like yourself. So at this point, you're probably wondering, well, how can I get involved? And I'll get into that. But first, I want to say, if you guys have any questions throughout this webinar, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll take time to answer them. We'll have Q&A sessions, but we'll also just answer them through the chat. So feel free to put your questions there. And so the Sustainable Youth Challenge is a challenge that we came up with. It's an opportunity for you to get involved with YCAC. And you can get up to 15 hours of volunteer service. In addition to that, it looks great on college applications and resumes because it shows leadership. It shows that you're passionate about climate change and you want to take action. So there's multiple steps and there's multiple levels of involvement to this challenge. And a disclaimer is that you don't have to do these steps in order. You can do them in any order you want. But for each step, there's a different amount of hours or volunteer hours that you can get. So I'll go ahead and go through each step. The first one is engaging with our social media. And what does this look like? Well, it looks like you liking, following, and reposting our posts, whether that be on our Instagram or our Twitter or our TikTok. And you can also tag us and DM us with ideas for projects. And you can also, this is the most important part, you go on our website, ycacyouth.org, and you sign our pledge. And what that does is that adds your school as a partner for YCAC. So you can basically be a representative of your school for YCAC. So I'll have Jack talk about step 2.
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name's Jack Galloway. I'm the executive director of YCAC and a co-founder with Kevin and Jake. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm super excited to have you guys all here. So step 2 is fittingly come to the webinar and check out our website. The main reason we included check out our website is if people don't have time to come to a webinar that we're putting on. But everyone that's here, congratulations and great job. We have all of your information of the people that signed up and came to the webinar. So I think that it was in the chat that do we need to verify that we've come to the webinar? No, because we have everyone who's come on. So that is perfect. You guys are good for step 2. And obviously, thank you for coming. And for step 3, creating an action plan. And we've seen a few of these come through our email already. I've been handling most of the email correspondence from you guys submitting, you guys completing each step. And I'm super enthusiastic about how many people are coming in and hey, I've completed step 1. And then an hour later, they're I've completed step 2. And I'm wow, okay, this is great. So creating an action plan is pretty simple. You just need to create a 1 to 2 page document. And like it says here, you can go on our website and research some ideas. And I know that a lot of you guys in the chat are talking about ideas during COVID. We're super flexible with COVID. We know there's a lot of challenges that are presented by people having to stay in their house and wearing masks outside, and schools might not look normal in the fall. So we're definitely willing to work with you. One suggestion that we've come up with is doing at-home projects, trying to reduce your energy usage at home, reducing your water usage at home, and looking for impactful ways that you can do it on a smaller scale in just your own household. And that's really impactful, and it'll definitely count for step 3.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll let Jake talk a little bit about implementing the projects and everything like that.
So if I could intervene, going back to step 2, when you're researching for potential project ideas, you're not just limited to our website, you know? You can go on other websites, other organizations, and research other ideas. As long as the idea is, you know, it's good, it'll make a quantifiable impact on your community, it'll make it more environmentally friendly, then we're open to working with you on implementing it. And once you have that, you know, idea down, you want to create an action plan, which, as Jack was saying, is a 1 to 2 page document. And you want to include in the action plan the current status, what you wish to improve, and how you will make that improvement. So on that first part, the current status, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're at home and you want to start composting. Well, the current status would be whether or not, you know, you're separating your food scraps from your trash. Most likely that'll be a no. And so you'll put that in your current status. And then what you wish to improve is to remove your food scraps from your trash so it doesn't end up going in the landfill and, you know, releasing carbon emissions. And how you will make that improvement is by implementing a home compost program. And you'll take a step-by-step as to, you know, once a week, I'll remove the food scraps from my trash, maybe make a pile in your backyard, and, you know, you'll turn it into a compost pile. So that's just one example of how to make your action plan. But once you've made your action plan, you want to email it to our email, which all of you should have. So just go ahead and email it to us. We'll review it and we'll get back to you whether or not you can go ahead and implement it. So Jake will talk a little bit about actually implementing the project, and yeah.
Right. So as we get deeper into this process, these things kind of start to build on each other, right? So step 4, using the resources we provide on our website and that 1 to 2 page document that you read out, you can start to implement that project. Now, this is where it kind of goes on to you guys, right? Because each project's different, right? We're not necessarily going to tell you, okay, at this point, you're going to do this, whatever, because all these projects are going to be different, which we think is kind of a cool idea because it really gives you guys the freedom to really start expanding it, making it as big or small as you'd like, and then repeating it. Step 4 is to implement, and we emphasize this project should have quantifiable results that you can measure, the positive impacts on the environment, the community, the school, things like that. And so in terms of verification, I know a lot of people are asking for verification. This can come in like many different forms. We just want to see something come out of it, right? So maybe the verification is like a video of you and maybe a friend who started it saying like, hey, we did this, this is it, this is our faucet aerator, or maybe this is our compost bin, whatever it may be. Or you can maybe send us a document, right? I wrote up this 2 page document or however many pages you'd like, and tell us like, hey, like this is what I did, things like that. Yeah, I'll kick it back over to Kevin to explain this step 5 and talk about the chapter system and the implementing another project possibly.
Perfect. Well, as you were saying, Jake, to verify your work, you want to either like take a picture or a video or have some sort of proof where you can then email it to us, which is the best form of communication. And we'll make sure to record you as, you know, having completed that. We'll sign you off on your volunteer hours and we'll give you the recognition you deserve. So after you've successfully implemented a project, going on to step 5, you have the option of either implementing another project, going through the same process again, or you can, which we highly encourage, starting a YCAC chapter at your school or community, whatever that may look like. And so a YCAC chapter is basically like an entity or a club, like a school club that you start under YCAC. And basically what you do in that club, it's like any other environmental club, preservation club, where you host like trash cleanups and various environmental initiatives. But yeah, you will register that through our organization, YCAC. And I'll put the link in the chat if you're interested in starting a chapter. You want to fill out a Google form so we can, you know, get a sense of your background, get a sense of where you're coming from, so then we can hopefully set up a meeting and work with you on starting that club. Now, going into the fall, we know many schools will be online. So starting a YCAC chapter may not look like a regular school club. It may just be a website. It may be It may be a Discord chat. It may be a Slack, it could be different for everyone. So we'll be flexible. We'll work with you on that. But most importantly, we'll make sure you get the recognition you deserve. And yeah, we want you to be successful. So one of the benefits of starting a YCAC chapter and signing the Google form, which I'll put in the chat, is that if we see, or you know what, this entire challenge, if we see that you are highly committed, motivated, and you're a great member of YCAC, we will give you the opportunity to join the leadership team, which is a team of about five to 10 people, similar to Jake, Jack, and I. And we'll bring you on the leadership team. We'll give you a title, and we'll give you a bigger role, such as managing our social media, or helping us with outreach opportunities, getting published in newspapers, which we always do. So that's one motivator for you guys to really get involved in this challenge and put in your best effort. So at this point, we'll go ahead and answer some questions in the chat, and I'll make sure to put in the Google form for you guys to sign if you're interested in starting a chapter. So Jack and Jake, you guys can answer some questions in the chat and just maybe talk about them.
Sure. So I'll just take a few out of the chat. So a common one I keep getting is, what if there's already an environmental club like YCAC at your school? Okay, so this is a good question because a lot of people have environmental clubs at their schools already. Really, we're just looking to partner with those environmental clubs, and we do want them to come into our chapter network, because we do have a great infrastructure set up where we can provide a lot of the tools to take on and to do a lot of projects. Like Kevin and Jake were saying, we're really experienced on taking initiative and doing environmental conservation. So if you guys are the leaders of your environmental club at your school, that would be a great way to partner up with us. If not, if you're just like part of it, or you're an officer and maybe not the president or something like that, maybe talk to those people and get them to follow us on social media and see what their what their receptiveness would be to starting a YCAC chapter or becoming a YCAC chapter at their school.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's another common one, like, how do you sign our volunteer hours, or how do we receive the hours, or there's a lot of different permutations of this question. Right now we're developing a very nice and formatted PDF and ways for you guys to have verification of your hours. We're also willing to do one-on-one things with you. I know some schools have like a thing where we have to go on and sign whether or not you guys have completed your hours. Just shoot us an email if that's you and that's something that you need to be done. We're totally willing to work with you on a case-by-case basis to make sure you get those hours, because obviously that's super important to a lot of you guys in the chat.
Yeah, we'll make sure you guys get your recognition, and we'll be sure to send you a certificate once you show us verification of your work. So this is a good question from Vanchika. She says, could you guys please show us some examples of projects so we can get an idea or inspiration when we create our own? So good question. One example is just hosting a basic trash cleanup. There's trash everywhere at your school, in your community park, your local parking lot. So you want to gather a group of friends, passionate members of the community, and maybe host a trash cleanup. And then let's say you take a picture of that trash cleanup for verification purposes, and we'll give you however many hours that you spent with the trash cleanup and organizing it. So that's one example. Another example would be to maybe have some sort of a recycling drive. So if you guys didn't know, expo markers are one of the most toxic waste products that come out of schools. So you guys can very easily, set up bins or set up paper bags in classrooms where teachers can collect their old expo markers. And then you can, at like the end of the month, when you collect all the markers, you can send them off to Crayola, the company, and they recycle the markers. So that's another example of a project. And if you want any more, just put them in the chat. But there's another question. Liam asks, is there a way to apply for the leadership team, or do we have to be selected? Good question, Liam. So the answer to that is you have to be selected. So if we see that you're putting a lot of effort into this Sustainable Youth Challenge, you're completing all of your hours, you've gone through the steps, you want to start a YCAC chapter, and if we see that your work is quality and we see that you're genuinely passionate about taking action on climate change, we'll personally reach out to you. We'll set up a meeting and we'll get you on the leadership team on a bigger role. So that's the answer to that question. Let's see.
I saw some questions about I don't know if you guys answered, my sound cut out for a bit there, but people asking about if they can team up with people. Have we answered that already?
We've not.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so people asking like, can we team up? I saw one where it's like if they're already a part of the YCAC, what we're doing here. That's great. Yeah, we really encourage people teaming up, because that's one of it's a really important step. Is a lot of this stuff can't be done alone. I mean, technically it can be, but having a group or just a friend or whoever to help you do that, that's an awesome way to really get motivated. That also kind of leads into, I forgot what I was going to say. There's another question that I'll probably think about later. Sorry about that.
It'll pop up. That's okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Here's another question. Azam asks, can we make an action plan alongside a friend who's also a part of this YCAC challenge? Great question. And the answer to that is yes. In fact, we encourage you to team up with other participants so that you can come up with better ideas. Two brains are always better than one. So we encourage you to partner up, create teams, and yeah, that'll look better when you guys also want to, when we're looking for a possible member for the leadership team. If we see that someone has created a team or a partnership of people in this challenge, that shows us a very valuable skill that we want to have as part of the leadership team. And then there's another question where Jaskaram asks, I'm in high school, but could I get my brother who was in middle school to join, and will he also get credit? And can he apply for a chapter or leadership? So the answer to that is it depends on his middle school. If his middle school allows you to start a club or a chapter, then of course, yes. But if that's not the case, unfortunately, that's a no. But if his middle school allows middle school students to start clubs, start chapters, and do things like that, we'd be more than happy to work with him. So yeah.
Yeah, here's another question from Lay. Is by any chance this seminar being recorded? No, the seminar is not being recorded, but we will have the slides up on our Instagram and on our website in the next day or two. So
well, actually, Jack, this webinar is actually being recorded. That's one good thing about Webinar Ninja.
There we go.
So yeah, we'll definitely post this webinar on our Instagram and most importantly on our website. So if you want to refer back to this, it'll be on both of those platforms.
Well,
Fantastic.
we might have to do with his Instagram. I'm not sure if Instagram can post a video that long. For certain, it'll be on the website, and we'll check the name.
Okay. Well, if
We
that's
can
the
link
case,
it.
It'll be on our website, definitely.
It'll be easy for the website, maybe, if we're lucky on the Instagram. But
yeah. Okay.
Here's a really good question from Santiago. Do you send them proof through Instagram or email? Okay, so I know that our email that we sent to you guys was a little bit like you can either DM us or email us. Just for the verification purposes, our email is better because it's easier for us to navigate, and that way we don't have to go through like a bunch of requests on our DMs. So if you're going to verify that you guys completed this step, please email us at youth.climate.activist@gmail.
Yeah, you guys all should have our emails. That's how you came on this webinar. So yeah. John Perez asked a very good question, or he made a very good comment, actually. He said, you can make a chat with friends to teach them power saving techniques. That is a great idea, John. And we encourage you to take that on, send us proof so that we can verify you did it. And that's a great way to show that you're super involved in this and motivated. And then Angelica asks, can you do projects by your own, or do you have to team up with other people? And the answer to that is you can totally do projects by your own. And you can also do projects with other people. So both of those are fine. We do encourage that you team up because, as I said, 2 brains, 3 brains are always better than 1. But you can definitely do projects on your own and also team up with other people.
Here's a question from Tinsei, I believe that's how you say it. It's talking about climate change in Africa. So really quick, climate change will have a severe impact in other countries, especially in Africa. What have you guys done in the past to help with this? Has some of the money you've raised been donated to different foundations to help with this? Thank you. Thank you, Tinsei. So what we've actually done is in the past, what was it? I think 2019 or so, we partnered with an organization called Thirst Project, where we were able to host one of their speakers to come to our school and speak at lunch to some of our students. And they basically, what Thirst Project does is they raise money to build wells up down in Africa, I should say, because it's south of us. But yeah, so they build wells there. And so right now we're currently raising money to build a well down in Swaziland. It's north of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're currently working on donations for there, and donations will be sent.
Okay, here's another question from John. John, you're an MVP here today. Is YCAC the same as Key Club? I was thinking about joining Key Club this year, but will I still get the credit if it's the same? Okay, so great question. Key Club has been around for a while. And really one of the visions that we have of YCAC is having almost like a Key Club, or if you guys know like NHS, there's not really a climate change type club that has like a national organization that has lots of chapters everywhere. So I would encourage you to join both, but if you can, I mean, either one would be a great way to spend your time because you'll be serving the community. But YCAC is really like groundbreaking right now. We're growing at an exponential rate right now, and it's a really exciting opportunity to be involved with us going forward, I would think.
For sure. Yeah. YCAC, I would say, well, definitely is focused on community service and taking action in regards to climate change, while Key Club is more community service that's not specific to climate change. It can be volunteering at your library or tutoring students, which is great. But YCAC is different in that it is about taking action on climate change. So that's the key difference there. Omna asks, will you give hours to everybody who helps in a project like a beach cleanup? Yes, of course. Yeah. Whoever, as long as you have verification, we will give volunteer hours to whoever is part of your project. So that answers your question there.
Actually, I remember what I was going to say before. It was talk about work during COVID. So that ties in with your friends, with teaming up with people, because during COVID, what you can do is you can reach out to friends and try to build some sort of team. And so you can tackle environmental issues once school opens up, because obviously we're certain school will open at some point, whatever it may look like, it's going to happen. So what else you can do during COVID, some things, is you can talk to your administration. I know our school's administration is still running. I think they might be there like once a week or so. But regardless, the administration is still reading emails. So what you can do is maybe text or email somebody rather and say, hey, I want to start a club, or I want to start this environmental team, or whatever it may be, and really get the ball rolling there, so that once like day one of school, you can really start making progress towards projects rather than trying to make progress towards a club or towards a team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and to add to that, Jake, during COVID, during this pandemic, when we're all home, some great projects to do are ones that you can do in your house, obviously. So maybe doing a compost program for your house, maybe start recycling at your own home, and also not only doing things at your home, but also doing things online. So using the internet to your advantage, using social media to spread the message, engaging with our social media, and looking at our weekly newsletters and things. Going on our website. There's a lot of things you can do on the internet or at home without having to, go out in your school and in your community. So with that, I think we're going to move on to our guest speaker today, which we're very excited to have. And Jack, do you want to introduce Gary Liss?
Sure. So we've known Gary Liss for a couple years now. He's a lifetime conservationist, and he's the vice president for Zero Waste USA, and he's helped draft more zero waste plans than anyone else in America. So he's been included in articles and publications such as Time Magazine, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, pretty much anything you can think of. He was also the president of the National Recycling Coalition in the U.S. Zero Waste Business Council, and he was also the former mayor of Loomis, California, which is where we are from. So that is how we got involved with him, and we are happy to have him speak to us today and really
Yep,
get
so-
involved.
Yeah, unfortunately, Gary's webcam doesn't work, so we're gonna have to call in through my phone, and then he can speak that way. So I'll go ahead and give him a call right now, and he'll speak. Hello, Gary.
I've got audio on the screen. Bottom left corner, you should have a share screen button.
Bottom left corner.
According to their helpline.
His slides are up, Kevin, just so you know.
No, I know. I just put that, Jack.
Okay.
I'm not sure I can do that, Gary. I don't know.
Okay, but if you've got the slides up, that's fine.
Yeah, so you can just speak through this way, just through the phone.
Okay.
It's a little quiet. You might have to put them up to your mic.
So yeah, Gary, you can go ahead and speak, and I'll flip through the slides for you.
Okay, so you can hear me online?
There we go. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so I was asked to talk about how we got things moving in Loomis towards sustainability. And I want to, next slide, I want to highlight that the town of Loomis was actually incorporated in 1984 so that it would not grow. This slide before that.
Sorry.
That it would not grow. In a small town of 6,400 people in an area that was growing rapidly, and the community wanted to maintain its rural heritage. We used to be the place where lots of peaches and plums were grown and shipped all over America, and have more horses in the area than most places in the U.S., and we're in a beautiful, fertile valley. So we want to maintain that rural heritage. And I got involved probably about 15 years ago, next slide, because of issues of development. In 1984, we incorporated to be able to say we don't want that development to happen here. The choice was our neighbors were all getting housing back to back. Next slide. And when I ran for council in 2008, this was a map I put together of all the different developments that were planned on our borders or within the town, and some of the slogans that were on my promotional materials. Next. So we got involved with land use issues, open space issues, and the town was already environmentally oriented. Most of the residents love maintaining that rural environment. So we really were trying to build on those types of attitudes that were here already. One of my proudest accomplishments was the first day that I was mayor, I got a call from the town manager where we were offered to buy 10 acres in the middle of town that was an old 40-unit subdivision that had failed several times for over 10 years to actually get its act together. And 2010, when I was mayor, 2009, that first day on the job, was in the midst of the Great Recession, and the owners of the property had gone belly up, and the town manager said, "Do you want to buy it?" And we said, yes, had a council meeting, and within a week had bought it for $350,000, 10 acres right in the middle of town. And 2012 came up with recommendations to plant more trees there, preserve the pond, and do passive recreation uses like a central park. Next slide. I had been involved prior to running for council on an open space committee, and it came out with a report calling for strengthening town policies, funding open space, educating, partnering with land trusts, and preserving special properties like the Heritage Park. Next. And when I became mayor, I convened a green ribbon task force of local advocates that had been involved with open space, were involved with energy issues, with waste issues, with water issues in the area. Brought all those folks together, got the people who were the most knowledgeable in those particular areas, recommending what they thought the town should do. And the key criteria I asked them to focus on was what could save the residents, businesses, and or the town money. And that in a town that was very conservative politically, had a 2-to-1 Republican advantage in town, strong libertarian background, lots of Tea Party. Those were the things that I thought would get the most traction in the town. We came up with great recommendations. Some of them have been implemented, but the coming up together with a task force report is really important. I worked at one point in my career for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. One of the things they stressed is the mayor has the opportunity to convene people, and when the mayor calls, most people will say, "What can I do for you?" So that's what we did with the Green Ribbon Task Force. You could ask your mayors to do things like Jake, Jack, and Kevin have done in Loomis. Next. Other sustainability initiatives that helped build support for this was celebrating Earth Day, Plaster Sustain. Was a new sustainability group countywide that we formed. That group helped organize a prosperity summit, which was to be focused on sustainability, but because sustainability itself wasn't as positively viewed locally, we came up with a focus on prosperity. And our message is through sustainability, you will be prosperous. And that was based on what happened in Lake Tahoe, where they came up with a similar prosperity plan, because they found that most of the people that were coming to Lake Tahoe valued the environment, valued nature, and therefore for their local businesses in Tahoe, they need to reflect those attitudes in order to attract more people there. Del Oro High School has been a staunch supporter of sustainability here. Years ago, the Future Farmers of America group developed an aquaponics greenhouse with a grant they got. YCAC has been a great local new development with their efforts through their environment club on composting and other things that you've already heard about. Next. So that is the background on getting Loomis to sustainability. I am a zero waste consultant. I work on zero waste most of my time. I want to share some opportunities for youth being involved. There's a group called Zero Waste Youth USA. This presentation has links for you to click on. Next. Some ideas for youth actions for zero waste. In the next 3 months, we need to get more signatures for the California Plastic Pollution Reduction Initiative. There's a petition online that we'd like you to send to as many people as you can, and send out that link for getting people to sign. Even if you aren't in California, but know some people in California, it would be great for you to send that out to anyone who you could get that could sign it with detailed instructions in the link that's provided. Other ideas are to ask schools and your local government to ban single-use plastics, donate and compost food, connect with your local Sierra Club and promote public viewings of zero waste videos to help educate people on the opportunities, ask your community to adopt a zero waste goal and develop a zero waste plan. And some of the messages earlier that YCAC was talking about in terms of cleanup. I just ask you to wear masks, socially distance, stay 6 feet away from each other, and do brand audits like are being done for World Cleanup Day, which you can Google and check out, as well as Let's Do It World. There's a World Cleanup Plan that is a zero waste plan for moving cleanups to the next level. Next step. Just a quick overview of zero waste. It's all about reduce, reuse, recycle, focusing first on reducing and reusing, then recycling, composting, and redesigning the rest. Next. Next.
Sorry.
There's an international definition at Zero Waste International Alliance, zwia.org, which is on the screen. Next. That's the formal definition. And it's about don't burn the materials. We don't want to burn our resources, destroying them. We want to have no discharges to land, water, or air. By definition, zero waste is about zero emissions. The connections with climate change are huge. Landfills are one of the largest sources of greenhouse gases. Methane is 25 to 72 times more potent than CO2. If we recycled and composted all the discards in California, it'd be the equivalent of getting all cars off the road in California. There's a huge connection between zero waste initiatives and climate change. Next. Is it attainable? We say nature's the model. We've got 3.5 billion years of experience. There's no landfills or incinerators in nature. We just need to figure out how nature has done it and replicate that when we have problems. Next. Businesses are leading the way. This is a business-friendly message. These are a list of businesses, many of which have been certified by the U.S. Green Building Council's arm called GBCI. And they have good case studies about these at their website, true.gbci.org. Next. High school advocates for zero waste in Baltimore are the ones who led the way to kill the nation's largest trash burning incinerator, less than a mile from their high school. Destiny Watford, who led that charge in 2016, got the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for the environment, called the Goldman Environmental Prize. The top picture is showing high school kids involved with promoting the new ban on plastic bags in Baltimore that was adopted just this last year. Next. That same group was actively involved in developing a zero waste plan for the community. In fact, they're the ones who recommended hiring our firm to help them develop that plan. It's actually the first fair development plan for zero waste, with an emphasis on equity and community empowerment as part of that. Next. I always like to end my presentations with the question, if you're not for zero waste, how much waste are you for? And usually in a full room, I go more abbreviated and ask, how much waste are you for? And you're all supposed to shout it out. So the three of you need to do that. So how much waste are you for, Kevin, Jake, and Jack?
Zero waste.
Zero. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gary. That was a great presentation. Now, if you don't mind, we're just going to ask you a few questions about your experience as a mayor and advocating for sustainable initiatives.
Right.
Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, so the first question we have for Gary is, what was a major lesson you learned leading a rural small town in Northern California as a mayor?
In order to move forward, you need to find friends, build on what's existing. So learn about your existing programs to address whatever topic you are. Work on the issues of highest local concern. And from my vantage point, I always was looking at things for sustainability. But there's no matter how divided the politics are, there's always friends out there on the side of the issues that you'd like to work on. When you do something, you'll find those friends. So the YCAC efforts for you to do some action in your community, whether it's in person or virtual, that's how you'll start meeting folks who have similar views in your community, connect with them, build a network through social media. And one of the things I stressed as mayor, if you go with yourself and 2 or 3 friends in an organized presentation to any council meeting, you will get the attention of the elected officials. So every council meeting has an area called open public comment. And all over the country, anyone who wants to make a public comment for something that's not on the agenda, that's a great time for you to do that. And so if you go there and say you want the town to adopt zero waste, the mayor's response will be, thank you very much, next. If you go there with yourself and 2 or 3 friends saying, we want to adopt zero waste, we want to set up next person says, we want to set up a composting program, next person says, we want to do a cleanup program, and the last one wants the town to do a zero waste plan, the mayor will say, staff, look into this, because what the mayor sees is organized people in the community, and he'll want or she'll want to have those organized people in support of their next campaign for re-election.
Perfect. Yeah,
Make a huge difference.
that's a great answer. Thank you. So the next question we have for you is, and I think you kind of addressed this, but how do you work with town leaders and citizens that don't hold the same views about the urgency on climate change? Because I know that's a problem that a lot of our YCAC members are running into as well.
Right. The first thing, it's all about listening. One of the things when I was mayor, I really worked hard to get unanimous votes on this town council. And the way you do that is you listen to what are the concerns that those who don't hold the same view and maybe using different language. For example, your questions about climate change, but you notice I talked about sustainability. Climate change, I didn't even try to address in Loomis because of the conservative politics. Sustainability is as far as we went. And you don't even have to talk about that. You can talk about continuous improvement. You can talk about efficiency. You know, all of them, all of those words will lead you to the same types of policies and programs. Mm-hmm. So you need to be careful in your language, listen to their concerns, educate, provide educational forums such as different showing of different movies. These virtual times you could host a sharing of the story of plastics, for example, is one of the latest zero waste movies that's out, and have a discussion afterwards with people about what they heard. Also focus first on saving money or protecting health. Those are the 2 key commonalities that no matter what perspective or political views people have, everyone will want to save money or protect their health or their others that they know. And finally, meet halfway. Don't expect to get everything you want. Politics used to be the fine art of compromise. The more you make more progress by getting people on your side by doing things and proving that you are on the right track. And if you do that the first time, the next time they'll meet you further and go beyond the halfway mark.
Perfect. And then the last question we have is, what are some pieces of advice that you would give to youth who want to do something about climate change, but just don't know where to start?
I would talk with existing community leaders that are working on climate change, such as Sierra Club, other environmental groups, people who are working on recycling programs, local energy and water utilities, a local community college. They may have an environmental group or environmental course. There may be state agencies that could be helpful on state environmental agencies, state recycling agencies. US EPA has regional offices all over the country, and they always are in touch with leaders that are working on things. Again, it's all about finding friends, connecting with people who have shared values, finding out what other people are doing, and then finding which things you want to get involved with yourself. And you can Google topics you're interested to find local resources. So you can Google recycling in Loomis, or water pollution in Loomis, or energy efficiency in Loomis, and find local resources as a way to start.
Perfect. And you guys are taking a step in the right direction by being here and being involved in YCAC as well. So Kevin's going to go through our last couple slides. We'd really like to thank Gary for all that he's for all his insights. A lot of people in the chat are thanking him, and we appreciate that, guys.
Yep. Thank you so much, Gary.
Definitely, Gary. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so moving forward, feel free to email us with any questions or concerns, or just put them in the chat. We'll get to another Q&A session real quick. This webinar will be recorded and posted on our website, ycacyouth.org. And make sure to stay tuned for more webinars and opportunities to get involved in the future. And you can do that by checking your emails. And lastly, we'd like to say we're very excited to have you on board and work with you going forward. So thank you. Make sure to stay connected, follow our social media, make sure to have our email recorded. And with that, we can answer some questions.
Yeah, I want to start off really quick. I saw a lot of people in the chat talking about Discord. That's a great idea. You know, we've been brainstorming ideas for how we can get a conversation going, because we realize that's going to be really important with this organization, because there's a lot of factors going in here with a lot of members. So I think Discord's a great idea. I think the Discords you guys started, that's awesome. What we want to do is we can maybe start a Discord, or I also saw Slack that we've thought about in the past before. So we definitely want to create some sort of overarching communications base. And then these also smaller ones are awesome. I saw people talking about different areas, right? If we have one for like certain cities, that's great. So we'll be in touch with that shortly. Check it out for our Instagram and then our website as well. And we'll inform you guys on that.
Definitely. And John Perez asks a question. He asks, what if we have a product in mind? Will that still count as a project/program? And the answer to that is, of course, yes. If you have a product in mind, that's amazing. That's please share it with us. We'd be more than happy to set up a one-on-one meeting, discuss it with you, and that'll definitely count as a project, and that'll get you a lot of hours, a lot of recognition, and that sounds very interesting. So yes.
I see Serenity here. She asked, how do we start a club? Do we email our staff at the school? This is a common question that I was seeing. So yeah, usually you want to reach out to your admin. I know at our school, what we do is if we want to start a club or a program of sorts, we can either reach out to our leadership organization, if you guys have one of those, our leadership class on our campus, or we can send an email to our admin. So maybe if you have your principals, even email, or like a vice principal or someone at the front office, things like that. Basically, just get in touch with your school's leaders.
Yeah, and like Jake was saying, getting in touch with your school's leader, and what Gary was saying as well, like find a friend. Like if you know that there's a teacher that would be interested in supporting your work with YCAC, that's definitely a place to start as well. Maybe take one or two more questions.
Sure. Let's see.
You got anything else?
It seems like Regina is writing everyone's Instagrams and accepting requests. So Regina, if you want to maybe share us that list, that would be amazing. And thank you so much for doing that.
I think this. Oh, Santiago, what college are you all going to? We do not know yet because we're going to be seniors next year. So we will keep you updated as we go through the college admissions process. I know that you guys are obviously interested in the college admissions process. You guys, I think a lot of you followed us or got a hold of us from Jessica. So, all right. So we appreciate you guys coming on. I think this is going to be it. And is there anything else you guys want to say, Kevin or Jay?
I just like to say thank you so much for giving some of your time and spending it with us, listening to what we have to say. And we're really excited to work with you in the future. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much. This was beyond what we could imagine when we started this 2 years ago. This is super awesome to just see all the places right in the beginning whenever we're saying where they're all from. I thought that was super cool. So really excited to work with you guys. I also noticed there's a lot of questions we didn't get to answer. If you could email us those, we'd love to answer those. We can have more time after this meeting to really get all those questions answered. All right.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
We look forward to seeing you in the future.
For sure.